Welcome back, everyone. Before we dive in, make sure you drop your thoughts and the lessons you took from this story in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get into it. My wife looked me dead in the eye across our kitchen table and said the words that would end our marriage. I decide who I spend time with, Wesley. You do not get a say in this. It was a Tuesday evening in March. We were eating takeout Chinese food straight from the cartons, something we used to do almost every week when we first got married. Back when things were simple, when we talked about movies and future vacations instead of boundaries and independence, and who was suffocating whom. I set my fork down slowly and studied her face. Ariana had changed over the past few weeks in ways I could not ignore. There was new jewelry I had never seen before, a thin gold bracelet with tiny charms, a pair of hoop earrings that caught the kitchen light. There was a new sharpness in her eyes, a kind of guarded defiance that had not been there a month ago. Even the way she held her chin, slightly lifted, like she was already bracing for a fight, felt unfamiliar. I'm not trying to control who you spend time with, I said, keeping my voice as even as I could. I'm just wondering why you suddenly need to go out 3 times this week, all at night. Because I want to, she replied, crossing her arms. Because these are my friends, and we support each other. We do not judge each other's choices. The irony of her judging me for asking questions while talking about not judging was not lost on me, but I kept that observation to myself. I had learned recently that pointing out hypocrisy only added fuel to the fire. So when I asked where you're going at 10 at night, I said carefully, "That is me trying to control you." Her face flushed a quick, angry red. "Yes, it is. I'm an adult, Wesley. I do not need permission to leave my own house." "I never said you needed permission," I replied. "I asked because I care about your safety. That is all." She pushed her chair back so hard it scraped against the tile. She stood up, arms still folded tight, shoulders rigid. "This is exactly what they said you would do," she snapped. "Turn it around on me and make me feel guilty for wanting independence." They, in this case, were the women from her new group, the Dallas Women's Empowerment Circle she had joined 4 weeks earlier through a post she found on Instagram. From what I could tell, it looked less like empowerment and more like a club built around complaining about husbands and drinking wine at hours that used to belong to family and sleep. The leader was a woman named Denise, divorced at 27 and seemingly proud of it. She had a habit of posting long captions about freedom and reinvention while tagging bars and rooftop lounges. Then there was Melody, who had 2 children with 2 different fathers and could not understand why neither man wanted to stay involved. And finally Rhonda, on her 3rd engagement, who worked in an ever-rotating stream of multi-level marketing ventures. These were the people my wife of 9 years had apparently chosen as her advisors. "Independence is fine," I said quietly, trying not to let my frustration show. I meant what I said the last time we argued. I do not want to be your warden. But when your independence includes coming home at 2 in the morning smelling like cigarettes and someone else's cologne, maybe we should talk about it. "Maybe," she said, her voice dropping into something cold and final. "Maybe I do not owe you explanations anymore. Maybe I have been living my life according to what you think is appropriate for too long." The kitchen went quiet except for the low hum of the refrigerator. I watched her, really watched her, the way I used to watch data scroll across my screen at work, looking for patterns for sudden breaks in the trend line. This was not the woman I married. This was not even the woman I had been sleeping beside 6 months ago. "All right," I said at last, feeling something in me click into place. "You are absolutely right. Your friendships are your choice. Your decisions are your choice." Ariana blinked, clearly expecting more of a fight. "Good. Finally. And since we're talking about choices," I continued, "I have some of my own to make." The confidence in her expression flickered, just for a second. "What is that supposed to mean?" I stood up and began gathering our takeout containers, stacking them carefully, as if I had all the time in the world. "It means if you want complete independence in your choices, then I get the same independence in mine. Fair is fair." She followed me to the sink. "Do not be dramatic, Wesley. This is about friendship, not our marriage." I turned to face her fully. "Is it? Because from where I am standing, it looks like you are getting life advice from people who cannot maintain their own relationships. And that advice is starting to bleed into ours." Her eyes narrowed. "Do not you dare insult my friends." "I'm not insulting anyone," I said. "I'm making an observation. But you are right about one thing. It is not my place to judge." I paused deliberately. Your choices are personal. The way I said personal made her pause. Ariana was not foolish. She heard the shift in my tone. What are you planning? She asked, her voice quieter now. Nothing dramatic, I replied. Just exercising my own right to personal choices. She stared at me for several long seconds, trying to determine whether I was bluffing. I was not. Good, she said finally, turning away with a toss of her hair. Maybe now you will understand what independence actually means. Oh, I answered softly as I turned back to the sink. I'm about to understand it very well. The whole mess had started 4 weeks earlier. That was the day Ariana came home from work buzzing with energy about a new group she had discovered on Instagram. I had been standing at the stove, stirring a pot of chili when she walked in, phone in hand, talking faster than usual. They are called the Dallas Women's Empowerment Circle, she said, kicking off her heels and dropping onto one of the bar stools at the kitchen island. It is a safe space where women can talk about real issues without being judged. Sounds interesting, I said, tasting the chili and adjusting the seasoning. What do you all do there? They host meetups, book discussions, things like that, she said. The woman who started it, Denise, is amazing. She went through a divorce and completely rebuilt her life. She is so strong. At first, it did seem harmless. Saturday morning coffee meetups in downtown Dallas, book discussions on Wednesday evenings at a cozy independent bookstore. She would come home energized, her eyes bright, talking about how refreshing it was to connect with women who understood her frustrations, her ambitions, her fears. You should see how smart these women are, she told me one night as we sat on the couch. They have been through so much, but they are still optimistic. It is nice to talk to people who get it when I say I feel stuck. Stuck how? I asked, turning down the volume on the television. She hesitated, then shrugged. Just routine. Work, home, dinner, sleep, repeat. Sometimes I feel like I disappeared into this life without even noticing it happen. I had taken her hand then, squeezed it, told her we could mix things up, take a trip, start a new hobby together, try a cooking class again like we did early in our marriage. She smiled and said maybe, but the group already had plans for her evenings. Then the meetings started getting more frequent. 3 times a week, then 4. The Saturday morning coffee turned into brunch that lasted until mid-afternoon. The Wednesday book discussions became wine and conversation, nights that stretched past midnight. Her vocabulary began to change. Suddenly everything I did was toxic masculinity. Every question I asked about her schedule became emotional labor. If I mentioned that I missed having evenings together, she accused me of trying to reclaim my power over her. The first time I suggested that her new friends seemed to attract a lot of drama, she reacted like I had insulted her personally. You do not get to choose my friends anymore, she said immediately, her voice sharp. I'm not choosing anything, I replied. I'm just pointing out that every time you come home from spending time with them, you are angry with me for something I did not even know I did. That is because you do not understand female friendship, she said. We support each other. From what I could see, the support looked one-directional. Denise, the group leader, posted constantly about her married boyfriend, sharing cryptic quotes about taking what life owes you. Melody frequently uploaded screenshots of text messages from her children's fathers, calling them deadbeats in one breath, and celebrating the arrival of child support payments in the next. Rhonda documented each new business venture with breathless enthusiasm, but never mentioned the previous ones that quietly disappeared. These were the women teaching my wife about healthy boundaries and choosing herself. 3 days after our tense dinner table argument, I did what any reasonable person would do when their spouse suddenly started taking life advice from strangers. I got curious about who these people really were. It took about 20 minutes on Instagram to find the group's page. People share an astonishing amount of personal information online when they assume the only audience is their echo chamber. The feed was filled with photos of wine bottles captioned Self-Care Sunday and filtered group selfies tagged with phrases like no apologies and leave the dead weight behind. There were pictures from rooftop bars with hashtags that celebrated freedom, escape, and starting over. The comment sections were a continuous stream of members bashing their partners and cheering each other on for increasingly questionable decisions, secret credit cards, emotional affairs, disappearing for weekends without telling anyone. One post caught my attention. It was from 2 Saturdays earlier, posted at 2 in the morning. A group photo at a bar in Galveston. Ariana was in the back of the shot, clearly visible, laughing with a cocktail in her hand. The caption from Denise read, "Best night ever. My girl finally feeling alive." The problem was that Ariana had told me she was at Denise's apartment watching movies that night. I saved the post, screenshotted the comments, and moved everything into a folder labeled with the date. Call it paranoia, call it preparation. Something in my gut told me I would need documentation. That evening, Ariana came home later than usual, humming to herself as she set her purse down. "Good day," I asked from the couch, closing my laptop. "Great day," she said, stretching as she slipped off her blazer. "We had lunch after work to plan this weekend." "Plan what?" I asked. "Just girl time," she said lightly. "You would not understand." "Try me," I replied. "We were thinking about doing a wellness retreat," she said, her eyes brightening. "Getting away for a few days, reconnecting with ourselves. Adult-only resort, spa, yoga, the whole thing. A wellness retreat with women who joked online about collecting married men, like trading cards. It sounded expensive and strategically timed. "Sound costly," I observed. "It is," Ariana admitted. "But we all decided we deserve it." She paused in the doorway, studying me. "When is the last time you spent money on something that made you happy?" An interesting question, considering I had spent my lunch hour researching divorce attorneys in Texas. "You are right," I said calmly. "Maybe it is time I started investing in my own happiness, too." She stopped, something in my tone catching her attention. "What kind of investment?" "Personal choices," I said. "I'm sure you will understand." That night, after she fell asleep, I stepped out into the hallway and called my old college friend Harold. He was an attorney in Chicago, and while I did not practice family law, I knew he would know someone who did. "Harold, it is Wesley," I said when he picked up. "Wesley," he replied, surprised. "It has been a while, man. Everything all right?" "I need some information," I said. "Hypothetically, how does divorce work in Texas?" There was a beat of silence. "This about Ariana?" he asked. "Just information for now," I said. Harold exhaled slowly. "Texas is a no-fault state. You do not have to prove wrongdoing, only that the marriage is irretrievably broken. If both parties cooperate, it usually takes a few months." "Why? What's going on?" I gave him the abbreviated version. The late nights, the lies, the sudden independence, the group trip that was supposedly a wellness retreat. "All right," Harold said when I finished. "I know a guy in Dallas. Name is Stephen Walters. He is sharp, and he does not play games. You want his contact?" "Yes," I said. "Send it to me." "And Harold?" "Yeah. I'm documenting everything." "Good," he replied. "If you go down this path, you want your facts straight. Just be sure you are really ready. Once this ball starts rolling, it is hard to stop." "I understand," I said. "Right now, I am just gathering information, making personal choices." 2 evenings later, I honestly tried, to reach Ariana in a way that did not involve accusations or evidence. She came home at 6, earlier than usual, and I took it as a sign. "Can we talk?" I asked as she set her bag on the counter. "About us." Her posture stiffened immediately. "What about us?" "I feel like we were disconnected," I said, gesturing to the kitchen table. "When did we stop being a team?" She sat slowly, eyes wary. "Maybe we were never a team," she said after a moment. "Maybe I was just following your lead this whole time." The words stung more than I expected. "Is there someone else?" The question slipped out before I could stop it. She pushed her chair back and rolled her eyes. "Why do men always jump straight to that?" "Because my wife is staying out until 2 in the morning," I said, forcing myself to stay calm, lying about where she is, and getting life advice from women whose lives appear to be on fire. "That is why." "You do not know them," she snapped. "You see a few posts and think you can judge their whole lives." "I know what they post online," I said evenly. "I know their track record. 3 divorces between the 3 of them, for children with absent fathers, a series of jobs they cannot hold on to. But somehow, they're qualified to tell you how to live your life and how to measure our marriage." Her cheeks flushed again. "They understand me, Wesley. They see how controlling you are. They said you would react like this. They are using you," I said quietly. "They need you to fail, so their own failures feel less lonely. If your marriage falls apart, they will tell themselves it proves they were right all along." Ariana's eyes filled with angry tears. "Get out," she whispered. This is my house too, I replied. Then I am leaving, she said, snatching up her purse and heading for the stairs. From the bottom of the staircase, I heard her voice through the vents as she made a call. He is starting to suspect, she said to whoever was on the other end. No, I did not tell him. This weekend will be perfect timing. Perfect timing for what? I wondered. But in my gut, I already knew. Friday afternoon, Ariana came downstairs with a weekend bag already packed. I noticed the new clothes, the new shoes, the sleek suitcase. The group is doing a wellness retreat in Galveston, she announced. We are leaving after work, back Sunday evening. I looked up from my coffee. Galveston in March, I said. It will be chilly by the water. We are staying at Harborview Suites with spa access, she said. Very exclusive. We got a great rate through Denise's connections. I nodded slowly, my eyes drifting to the half-open bag. Lace lingerie with the tags still on, a dress I had never seen before, heels that definitely were not for yoga. I already requested the time off at work, she continued. This is not a discussion. You are absolutely right, I said. Your choices are personal. Have a good time. She studied my face, searching for the argument she expected. When she did not find it, confusion flickered across her features. You are really all right with this? She asked. I met her eyes. You said I do not get a say. I am respecting that. Oh, she said quietly. Well, good. Denise picked her up at 5, in a silver SUV. I watched from the front window as all 4 women piled into the vehicle, passing around a stainless steel flask before they even backed out of our driveway. They were laughing loudly, windows cracked, music pulsing faintly. Ariana did not glance back at the house once. The moment the car disappeared around the corner, I went into motion. My first call was to Stephen Walters, the Dallas family law attorney Harold had recommended. I left a message requesting a Monday morning appointment, then opened my laptop and began the process of gathering my life into evidence and essentials. I walked through every room in our house, taking photographs of furniture, appliances, artwork, the details of the life we had built together over 9 years. The bed we had bought after our 5th anniversary. The dining table where we had celebrated promotions and birthdays. The framed photos from vacations that now felt like they belonged to strangers. I pulled copies of our financial records, our marriage license, our insurance policies. I organized every screenshot from Instagram into a folder labeled with dates and captions, noting which lies they contradicted. Then came the practical step I had been dreading. I logged into our joint savings account and transferred exactly half, $18,400, into a new personal account under my name. I did not empty the account, did not hide anything. I simply made sure I would not be stranded if things went badly. After that, I packed 2 suitcases with essentials, clothes, toiletries, my laptop, important documents, a few books, the photo of my parents on their 40th anniversary that I kept in my desk drawer. Things I would need if I did not come back. My younger brother Leon lived in Houston, a little over 3.5 hours away. I called him as the sun was starting to set. Hey Wesley, he said. What is going on? Can I stay with you for a bit? I asked. He was silent for a beat. How long is a bit? It might be permanent, I said. All right, he replied slowly. What happened? I will explain when I get there, I said. Is your guest room free? Yeah, he answered. Yeah, of course. You know you're always welcome. You okay? I will be, I said, and for the first time in weeks, I almost believed it. Saturday morning started with a text from Ariana at 9:47 a.m., just finished yoga session. So relaxing. I pulled up the website for Harborview Suites in Galveston. It mentioned a pool, a spa, a bar, and proximity to the beach. No yoga facilities. 10 minutes later, Denise posted an Instagram story. The 4 of them at the hotel bar with mimosas, the Galveston waterfront visible through the wide windows behind them. Ariana was in the background, laughing, one hand resting casually on a man's shoulder. I saved the screenshot, added it to the folder. The afternoon passed in a strange, quiet rhythm. I walked through the empty house, remembering arguments and laughter, meals and small domestic routines that had once felt like promises. Then I carried the packed suitcases to my truck. Our neighbor, Gloria, saw me loading the truck as she came out to get her mail. Going somewhere, Wesley, she called. Just making some personal choices, Gloria, I said. She looked at me for a long moment, and nodded slowly, her expression softening. You take care of yourself, all right? I will, I said. Thank you. At 7:23 that evening, my phone rang from an unknown number. Hello. I answered cautiously. Hey man, is this Wesley? A male voice slurred slightly. Mid-30s, a little drunk, but coherent. Who is asking? I said. Look, I am at Harborview Bar in Galveston, he said. Your wife is here, saying she is separated. I just thought you should know before things go any further. My hand tightened around the phone. Before what? Before anything happens, he said. She is buying rounds. Took her ring off, telling everyone she is single. My sister went through the same thing. Her friends talked her into trashing her marriage. Destroyed her family. I just thought you'd want to know. I closed my eyes for a second. I appreciate the call, I said. Yeah, he replied. Good luck, man. He hung up, and I sat there at the kitchen table with the phone still in my hand, feeling something cold settle into my chest. I opened Instagram. Melody had posted 7 minutes earlier, a photo of all 4 women at Harborview Bar, exactly where the caller said they were. Ariana stood front and center in a tight red dress I had never seen, her wedding ring conspicuously absent. She was leaning toward 2 men, laughing at something one of them had said. The caption read, Girls Weekend equals Freedom Weekend. Living my best life. The comments were full of encouragement from other group members. You deserve this. Finally breaking free. Your happiness matters. I saved that screenshot too. Then I did something I had not done in a long time. I wrote a letter by hand. I sat at our kitchen table with a pen and a sheet of thick stationery Ariana had bought years earlier and never used. I wrote slowly, choosing each word with care, keeping the tone steady and factual. No accusations, no insults, no pleading. Just the truth. Ariana, I wrote, you said you wanted to decide who you spend time with without my input. I respect that choice. You said I do not get a say in your decisions. You were right. Independence means living with all the consequences of your choices, not just the pleasant ones. You told strangers this weekend that you were separated. I am making that statement true. Divorce papers will be filed Monday. My attorney will contact you Tuesday. You're free now. Completely free. This is what you chose. Wesley. I placed the letter in an envelope and set it in the middle of the kitchen table. Then I removed my wedding ring and placed it on top of the envelope, the metal cool against my fingertips. By midnight, my truck was loaded. I walked through the house one last time. The kitchen where we had cooked together, the living room where we had watched movies tangled under a blanket, the bedroom where we had whispered ridiculous dreams in the dark. In the doorway, I remembered a night 3 years earlier when Ariana had stood there laughing, her hair wrapped in a towel, steam drifting from the bathroom. Promise you will never give up on us, she had said. Back then, the question had felt unnecessary. I promise, I had said without hesitation. Standing there now, I realized that I had kept that promise as long as there had still been in us to fight for. She was the one who had walked away first, in slow, deliberate steps. I set my keys on the counter next to the fruit bowl, turned off the lights, and closed the door behind me. Then I drove to Houston in the dark, the road stretching ahead like a clean, unmarked page. Sunday morning, I was unpacking in Leon's guest room when my phone began to vibrate over and over on the dresser. Unknown numbers, one after another. Leon stuck his head in the doorway. You were popular today, he said. It is Ariana, I said, using other phones. You going to answer? He asked. No, I said. The text messages started at 2:34 p.m. Wesley, answer your phone now. 2:41 p.m. This is not funny. Where are you? 2:55 p.m. I came home early. Why is the house like this? Where are your clothes? 3:12 p.m. Call me. 3:28 p.m. I found your letter. This is insane. We need to talk. I sent one response. Check the kitchen table. Everything you need to know is there. Your independence starts now. Then I blocked the unknown numbers and powered off my phone. Later that afternoon, Leon's girlfriend, who had created a fake social media account at Leon's request to quietly monitor Ariana's public posts, showed me Ariana's Instagram story. A crying selfie, eyes red and swollen. The caption, when you realize you made the biggest mistake of your life. It disappeared within minutes, but not before the screenshot was saved. On Facebook, she wrote, has anyone seen Wesley Grant? Emergency. Please message me. Comments poured in. What happened? Are you okay? Do you need help? Her empowerment group members were quieter now, their enthusiasm dampened by reality. Monday morning, I sat across from Stephen Walters in his downtown Dallas office. He was in his 50s, with calm eyes and a measured way of speaking that suggested he had seen nearly every variation of marital collapse. I handed him the folder I had prepared, screenshots, a timeline, copies of text messages, photos from the weekend showing Ariana without her ring, records of her finances. He flipped through the stack, his expression unreadable. "This is remarkably thorough," he said at last. "I am an analyst," I said. "I analyze." "Texas is a no-fault state," he said. "Legally, we do not need to prove infidelity or abandonment. But this documentation establishes a clear timeline and a pattern of behavior. It will help if there are disputes about property, support, or anything else." He looked up at me. "I can file today. She will be served tomorrow. Are you certain you want to proceed? Once this is filed, turning back becomes complicated." I thought about her hand on that stranger's shoulder at the bar, the missing ring, the way she had said, "Maybe I do not owe you explanations anymore." She was certain when she took off her ring and told strangers she was separated. I said, "I'm just making her words true." Stephen nodded once. "All right, let us proceed." Monday afternoon, Ariana somehow found Leon's address. His girlfriend spotted her car parked outside from the apartment window. "She has been sitting there for 30 minutes, Leon told me over the phone from the living room. "She looks rough, Wes. You sure you do not want to talk to her?" "I'm sure," I said. "She made choices. Now she lives with them." That evening, Ariana tried calling my office. I had already informed my boss of the situation. He had his assistant route her calls to voicemail. She called my parents in Louisiana. They told her they supported their son's decision. My mother called me afterward, her voice calm but sad, to tell me Ariana sounded shaken. I thanked her for letting me know and changed the subject. Then Ariana posted a public status on Facebook. "Sometimes you do not realize what you had until it's gone. I am sorry, Wesley. Please give me a chance to explain." The comments looked different this time. Not the cheerleading from her empowerment circle, but questions from old friends, concern from cousins and coworkers, people who had known us as a couple. "What happened? Are you okay? Where is he?" Denise, Melody, and Rhonda were silent. Tuesday morning, a process server delivered the divorce papers to Ariana at her workplace. I did not witness it, but one of her coworkers later posted a vague message online about watching someone's world collapse in the middle of a workday. Ariana called me 47 times between 11 in the morning and 6 in the evening. I did not answer any of them. That night, she posted an Instagram story. "I made mistakes." The text read over a black background. "I listened to people who did not have my best interests at heart. Wesley, if you see this, please call me." The encouragement from her empowerment group was still missing. New comments appeared instead. "Where are your friends now? Did they help fix this? I hope you learned from this." Wednesday morning at 7, persistent ringing at Leon's doorbell jolted the apartment awake. Leon opened the door to find Ariana's mother, Marilyn, and Ariana's older sister, Latoya, standing there. "We need to speak to Wesley," Latoya said, trying to look past him. "Now." Leon blocked the doorway with one arm. "He does not want to see Ariana," he said. "This is family business," Latoya insisted. "He needs to hear us out." I walked to the door, my chest tight, but my mind already made up. "I do not need to hear anything," I said. Latoya stepped toward me. "She made a mistake," she said. "One mistake. You are really going to throw away 9 years over one weekend?" "It was not one mistake," I said calmly. "It was 4 weeks of choices. It was staying out until 2 in the morning and lying about where she was. It was taking off her ring. It was telling strangers she was separated. Those are not accidents. Those are decisions." Marilyn's eyes were tired as she looked at me. "She is devastated," she said quietly. "She has not eaten in days. And I am supposed to care more about the feelings of someone who did not care about mine." I asked. "You are being cruel," Latoya snapped. "I'm being consistent," I said. She wanted independence from my input. She has it. "Think about your future children," Latoya said, as if she had finally found an angle that would work. "You're going to walk away from that." "I'm not having children with someone I do not trust," I said. "I will not build a family on a foundation I already know is cracked." I closed the door gently but firmly. They pounded on it for a few more minutes before giving up. Later that day, Latoya posted a vague message online about cold-hearted people who would rather be right than happy. Marilyn did something I did not expect. She commented beneath her daughter's post, quoting a line I had heard once before. "The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. Maybe he understands loyalty better than you think." The post was deleted an hour later. Thursday afternoon, I was working from a coffee shop near Leon's apartment when 3 women slid into the booth across from me without asking. Denise sat in the center, Melody and Rhonda flanking her like a small, determined committee. "We need to talk about what you are doing to Ariana," Denise said, folding her hands on the table. I closed my laptop slowly and met her gaze. "I'm not doing anything to Ariana," I said. "I am removing myself from a situation she created. That is all. She was just trying to find herself," Melody said quickly. "She found herself at a bar in Galveston without her wedding ring," I replied. "Congratulations to all of you. Mission accomplished." Rhonda leaned forward. "You are punishing her for having friends," she said. I took my phone from my pocket, opened the folder of screenshots, and slid the device across the table. Photos of their posts, their comments celebrating reckless decisions, their encouragement of Ariana's worst impulses. "These are your words," I said. "You 3 have 3 divorces, for broken engagements, 5 children with absent fathers, and a string of jobs you could not keep. Yet you believed you were qualified to give marriage advice." Denise's face flushed dark. "Our personal lives are none of your. They are exactly what you projected onto my wife," I interrupted. "Misery loves company. You wanted her to fail, so you would not have to face your own failures alone." "That is not fair," Melody whispered. "You know what is not fair?" I asked. "Convincing a woman in a stable marriage that she is oppressed, encouraging her to tear it apart so that you can feel better about your own decisions." Rhonda tried another angle. "If she cuts us off, will you reconsider? You are asking if I will take back a spouse who only changes when she faces consequences," I said. "That is not change. That is panic." "The answer is no." I left cash for my coffee on the table, took my phone, and walked out. That evening, I received an anonymous text message from an unfamiliar number. Attached were screenshots of the group's private chat. I did not know who had sent them. Maybe an ex-boyfriend, maybe a disillusioned former member. But the messages made everything painfully clear. "I told you she was not ready for full independence," Denise had written. "You are the one who said men need to be taught lessons," Melody responded. "Maybe we should have encouraged counseling instead," Rhonda added. "This is getting out of hand." The empowerment circle was devouring itself. Friday afternoon, I got a call from Ariana's boss, Mr. Jennings. We had met at company events over the years, exchanging polite conversation over appetizers and speeches. "Wesley, I am calling as a courtesy," he said. "Ariana's performance has declined significantly. She has missed 3 days this week, and today she broke down in tears during a client meeting." "I am sorry to hear that," I said. "But that is not my concern anymore." "I understand," he said. "She has told some people here that you filed for divorce. I just wondered if there was any chance of reconciliation. I hate to see this affect her career." "The divorce is proceeding," I said. "What she does with her career is her choice." "All right," he said softly. I had to ask. That evening, my old college roommate Reggie called. "Man, I saw Ariana at the store earlier," he said. "She looked different, like she had not slept in days." "What happened?" I told him. All of it. When I finished, he was quiet for a long time. "I had no idea," he said finally. "She told people you were controlling, that she needed space." "Of course she did," I said. "That is easier than admitting the truth." "For what it is worth," he said, "seeing her today, she knows she caused this. She's paying for it. Knowing it and living with it are 2 different things," I said. 2 weeks later, Ariana asked to meet in person. She sent a message through Stephen, who passed it along and made it clear I was under no obligation to agree. I said yes, with conditions. Neutral ground, public place, no dramatics. We chose a coffee shop in Dallas, not far from where we used to go on lazy Sunday afternoons before everything fractured. When I walked in, she was already there, 15 minutes early, fingers wrapped around a paper cup like she needed its heat to stay upright. She looked thinner. The careful polish she usually wore, perfect hair, subtle makeup, coordinated outfits, was gone. Her hair was pulled back in a loose ponytail, dark circles sat under her eyes, and her clothes hung a little loose. I sat down across from her without ordering anything. You said this was urgent, I said. What do you need? I need you to understand, she said, her voice trembling. I was confused. Those women made everything sound so simple. They made it seem like you were the problem. They said you were controlling, that you were holding me back. And now? I asked. Now I see they were the problem, she said. I cut them off. All of them. I blocked them. I deleted Instagram. I walked away from the group. Good for you, I said. You learned something. She leaned forward. So we could talk about fixing this, she said quickly. We can go to counseling. We can rebuild. I will do whatever it takes. There is nothing to fix, I said. It is broken. But I changed, she insisted. I see what I did wrong. You changed because you face consequences, I said. That is not growth. That is panic. Real change happens before consequences show up, not after. Tears spilled over, tracking down her cheeks. I love you, she whispered. I never stopped loving you. You loved having me as a safety net, I said quietly. You loved knowing I would be there while you played single. That is not the same thing. I was not playing single, she protested. I was trying to find myself. You found yourself in Galveston without your ring, I said. You found yourself telling strangers you were separated. That is who you chose to be. You cannot blame that on wine, or friends, or a yoga session that never happened. That was not me, she said weakly. That was the pressure. The alcohol. The adults do not get to blame wine and peer pressure, I said. You made choices. Own them. Her voice broke. What do you want me to do? She asked. Get on my knees? Beg. I want you to understand that actions have consequences, I said. You wanted independence. You have it. All of it. So that is it, she asked. 9 years means nothing. I stood up. 9 years meant everything, I said. Right up until you decided it did not. Through the window, as I walked to my car, I saw her still sitting there, head bowed, shoulders shaking. A barista approached her after a moment, concern visible on her face, but Ariana shook her head and left without ordering anything else. 2 weeks later, Stephen called with an update. Ariana's attorney is requesting mediation, he said. She is willing to let you keep the house if you will agree to delay the divorce. Why would she offer that? I asked. Between you and me, he said, I think she's hoping you will change your mind during the delay. She might believe time will soften your stance. No delay, I said. Standard division. The house goes on the market. We split the proceeds. You are sure? He asked. The market is favorable right now. You could keep the house if you want it. I do not want a house that reminds me of who I thought she was, I said. Over the next month, the fallout from the empowerment circle spread outward like cracks in glass. Denise's married professor boyfriend was exposed when his wife found their messages. He faced a disciplinary hearing at the University of Texas at Dallas. Denise lost her side job managing his department's social media. She posted a bitter status about being used and betrayed. Melody's children's fathers both filed for formal custody evaluations, and her public posts about late nights out became part of the court record. She made her accounts private, deleting party photos and long rants about deadbeat fathers. Her final public message was an apology for giving advice she had no right to give. Rhonda's third fiancé called off their wedding after discovering the debt she had accumulated through failed business schemes. Her engagement ring appeared for sale on an online marketplace 3 days later. She wrote a long, rambling post about encouraging behaviors in others that she herself could not tolerate in a partner. And Ariana wrote her own public statement. I destroyed my marriage by listening to people who could not maintain their own relationships, she posted. I take full responsibility. Wesley was right about everything. The comments flooded in. Some were supportive, others harsh, many simply stunned. Old friends told her they were sorry. Relatives asked how it had come to this. A few strangers told her she deserved what she got. She did not respond to any of them. 3 months after I filed, we met at the Dallas County Courthouse for the final hearing. It was brief and procedural, almost anticlimactic after everything that had led to that morning. Ariana looked smaller than I remembered, as if the weight she had lost was made up of certainty and pride. She tried to catch my eye several times during the proceedings. I looked straight ahead. The judge reviewed the papers, asked a few standard questions, and then said the words that officially ended our marriage. The marriage is hereby dissolved. Division of assets as agreed. 11 minutes. 9 years reduced to 11 minutes and a judge's signature. Outside the courthouse, Ariana lingered near the steps while her attorney tried to guide her away. Finally, she broke away and approached me before I reached my car. "Can we talk?" she asked. "Just 5 minutes." "What is left to say?" I asked. "That I understand now," she said. "That I see what I had and what I threw away." "Good," I said. "Hold on to that understanding. It will help you not make the same mistake twice." "With someone else?" she asked, hope flickering in her eyes. "With anyone," I said. "Friends, family, whoever. Understanding that people have value before you lose them." Her voice was barely audible. "Do you hate me?" "No," I said. "I do not hate you." "Do you still love me?" she asked. I thought about it. "I love who you were," I said. "I do not know who you are now." "I'm trying to be better," she said. "For you. Be better for yourself," I said. "Not for me. Not for any man. For you." "Are you seeing anyone?" she asked. "That is not your concern anymore," I said. "That means yes," she said, a sad smile ghosting across her face. "Then that is why we are divorced now." "We are divorced because of your choices," I said. "My life is my own now." She nodded slowly. "I see you sometimes around town," she said quietly. "You look happy." "I am happy," I said. "I am glad," she said. "I mean that. You deserve to be happy." "So do you," I said. "Just not with me." "If I could do it over," she began. "But you cannot," I said gently. "Nobody can. That is why choices matter." "Will you ever forgive me?" she asked. "I already have," I said. "Forgiveness is for my peace, not your comfort." "But forgiveness does not mean reconciliation." "What does it mean then?" she asked. "It means I hope you learn from this," I said. "I hope you become someone who values what they have while they still have it. Just not with me in the picture." We stood there for a moment in silence. The spring sun was warm on my face. Traffic moved steadily past. Somewhere, someone laughed. Life was continuing whether we wanted it to or not. "Take care of yourself, Ariana," I said. I walked to my car without looking back. In the rearview mirror, I saw her still standing on the courthouse steps, her attorney's hand on her shoulder as he guided her away. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I was building a new life. I had moved into a small condo in the Deep Ellum district of Dallas. Bare walls, clean lines, a place that was fully mine. Work had promoted me to senior analyst. I had started playing pickup basketball again and ended up coaching a youth team at the local YMCA on Saturdays. I reconnected with old friends I had drifted away from during the slow collapse of my marriage. I saw Leon regularly. Our relationship stronger and easier than it had been in years. And I was seeing someone. Nothing serious yet, but something with potential. Her name was Marissa. We met one afternoon at a coffee shop when we both reached for the same book on a community shelf. We ended up talking for an hour about authors, childhood neighborhoods, and the strange comfort of routines done alone. Marissa was kind. She was honest in a quiet, steady way. She did not play games with her phone or her time. When she said she would call, she called. When something bothered her, she said so outright instead of collecting grievances to unload later. She was clear about what she wanted for herself and what she would not tolerate. One Saturday afternoon, I was pushing a cart through the produce section at a grocery store downtown when I saw Ariana. She was walking slowly beside her mother, comparing vegetables, holding a list in her hand. She looked healthier than she had at the courthouse, but still carried something heavy in the way her shoulders sloped, in the way her eyes moved across the room. Our eyes met for a brief moment. She gave a small nod. I nodded back. No words, no scene, just quiet recognition between two people who had once shared a life and now shared nothing but a history. She turned back to her mother. I moved on. People sometimes ask if I regret it. Not acquaintances. I do not share details with them. But the people who know the whole story. Leon. My parents. Harold. The answer is no. I do not regret the decision. I regret that it had to happen. I regret that Ariana chose people who pulled her away from everything we had built instead of encouraging her to strengthen it. I regret that 9 years ended in 11 minutes in a courtroom. But I do not regret refusing to be someone's backup plan. I do not regret demanding respect. I do not regret showing her that choices have weight. 9 years is a long time to share a life. Long enough to build routines and private jokes, and a vocabulary only two people understand. Long enough to believe you know someone completely. It is also long enough to forget that people can change or reveal who they were always capable of becoming. Ariana wanted independence. She wanted to make choices without anyone questioning them. She wanted freedom from accountability. In the end, she got exactly what she asked for. And so did I. If you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, and share this video with your friends. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a powerful story drop.